Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. Today I've got something very unique and interesting for you guys as I'm going to test the LTS21 Pro modular open ear sport headphones from Livall. So if you want to know what I mean by modular in this case, then stick with me after the intro. And you might be wondering what the Livall LTS21 Pro actually are. Well, for starters, they are open-ear headphones. And that's not to be confused with bone conduction headphones, as the LTS21 has traditional dynamic speakers inside, which project sound into your ears without blocking your ear canals. So we got these large 16.2mm drivers that create the sound, which then travels to your ears through the opening covered by this metal mesh at the bottom corner of the buds. The manufacturer calls it directional acoustics technology, which is supposed to reduce diffusion and sound leakage, and as you will see later on, it does exactly that. So that's what's inside these head units, but as you can see, these head units or speaker units cannot be used on their own, as we will need some sort of a mounting option that can keep them in place in front of our ears. And that's where the modular design comes into play, as with the Pro version we do not only get a headband which wraps around the back of your head, but there is also a helmet bracket in the box which can be used on bike helmets. So the speaker units are detachable, and when detached you can store the buds away in their charging case the same way you do with any regular in-ear buds. The headband, the helmet mount and the earbuds themselves are all made of plastic, but everything feels sturdily built. The helmet bracket goes onto your bike helmet with a little help of these self-adhesive mounts that you can also find in the box. The point of having the earbuds attached to the helmet is not only comfort during a bike ride, but also there are some helmets that might not be compatible with headbands. And by using the bracket, you can bypass that restriction. In most cases, you can also use the headband with a helmet, of course, so if you don't need the extra bracket, you can always opt for the sport version of the LTS21 instead of the Pro, so you will only get the headband and none of those helmet mounting accessories, while saving $10 or so in the process. Regardless of which option you choose, however, the headband or the bracket, sunglasses won't be a problem. Or at least I did not have any issues with any of my sunglasses during my tests, as there is enough clearance for everything to sit nicely on and around the top of my ears. And since we talk about sport headphones, comfort and fit are of the utmost importance along with protection against the elements. The overall design with the headband is very similar to that of bone conduction headphones, and even though the headband might not be as flexible as some of the titanium bands of other premium open-ear headsets, such as the Shokz Open Run Pro, it gets the job done as it provided me with a secure and comfortable fit during running and working out. And when using the helmet mount, you will barely notice there is anything on your ears. And speaking of those helmet mounts, there are two things I have to mention. First, the bracket can be pivoted up and down, giving you some extra flexibility in positioning. And second, the replaceable self-adhesive mounts are strong enough to withstand speeds of up to 50 km/h on a bike. Or at least that's the fastest speed I personally tested them at, and they didn't even budge. On to protection against the elements, the LTS21 comes with an IP64 dust and splash proof rating. So the headphones are not fully waterproof and they are not supposed to be submerged into water at all, but the seal and the protection proved to be sufficient enough during my everyday training regardless. I also got this nice big round carry case in which I can safely store and transport the buds, the charging case, the USB-C charging cable, the headband and the helmet brackets all together. It was a nice touch from Livall to include this in my review package, but unfortunately you can only get it for an extra $15 when you buy the earbuds. Or at least that was the case when I started working on this review. For actual prices and available options, please go to the manufacturer's website. You can find the link in the description. And since we are at it, I have to tell you that I got the headphones from the manufacturer for testing, but I'm not getting paid for making this review, so all you can hear is my honest and unfiltered opinion of the product. Moving on to the battery life, we can get up to 12 hours from the headset in optimal conditions, and we can charge them fully another 4 times using the case, which gives us 60 hours of total playtime. Depending on your settings and if you use higher volume levels, the single charge playtime might drop to around 9 to 10 hours, but the general battery performance is still very good. What's not that impressive, however, is that you have to use the USB-C charging port on the back of the case due to the omission of wireless charging. Another kind of annoying fact is that in order to put the main units inside the case to charge them, you always have to detach them from whichever mount you use. If we could just leave the buds on the headband, for example, that might be a bit more convenient, as I find it a bit of a struggle having to remove the buds every single time. And also, since the mounting points are all made of plastic, I'm not sure how long they will last before everything starts to get loose, at which point the whole detachable idea will make no sense any longer. But only time will tell how durable the construction really is. So far so good, and other than the minor inconvenience of having to remove the buds to charge them, this modular concept works just fine in my opinion. In terms of connection, the LTS21 comes with Bluetooth 5.2. We get no high-res codecs, just the basic AAC and SBC support. Connection is rock solid, pairing is easy. There is no multi-point use, so we cannot connect the headphones to more than one device at a time. Single bud mode, on the other hand, is supported, as each main unit connects to your source device independently from the other. However, this feature would make more sense, and that's just an idea, if there was an optional single ear hook kind of mount as well, so we could take full advantage of the mono mode and use only one of the buds at a time. Or maybe a mount which we could clip onto sunglasses, for example. But these accessories do not exist as of making this review, and I only hope that in order to reach the full potential of the modular design, Livall will come out with more mounting options in the future. But back to connection for a minute, there is minimal to no lag when watching movies or videos. But when it comes to gaming, even though there is a game mode in the app, I don't think that hardcore gamers will find the performance of the LTS21 satisfying enough in terms of sound delay. But again, keep in mind that these are sport headphones and not e-sport headphones, if you know what I mean. We get 4 microphones in total, and the voice transmission quality is more or less okay. However, my voice sounds a bit grainy even when making a phone call in a quiet room. The voice transmission quality gets a bit worse when we find ourselves in a more noisy situation, such as inside of a coffee shop. The environmental noise cancellation filters out most of the background chatter, which is good, but the intelligibility of my voice suffers a bit in the process, and it becomes more digital than I would like it to be. And since there is no real sport headphones with you without taking them outside, here's a quick audio sample for you from the side of a fairly busy road and with some wind to make the test even more challenging. As far as controls are concerned, we get a touch-sensitive interface on each unit, and we get to control play, pause, tracks, voice assistants, and phone calls. What we cannot do is adjusting volume from the headset, and there are no custom settings for the functionality of the touchpads either. As an extra option, you can get the Livall BR80 remote controller as well. It's sold separately, but you might be able to get it bundled with the LTS21 Pro, depending on when and where you watch this video. And using the remote mounted on the handlebar of your bike, for example, you can get the same control functions, and since the remote control was originally designed to be used along with the manufacturer's smart bike helmets, you can use it to control some features on those helmets. And this is all cool, but without the BR80, the basic control features of the headset itself are a bit limited. That said, the functions we have access to work just fine with prompt reaction times, and since the touchpads are relatively large, it makes them an easy target even in the middle of an intense workout, so everyday use is hassle-free. Onto the Livall Riding smartphone app, it's available for both Android and iOS. Within the app we get to play around with some basic features such as languages or over-the-air firmware updates. We can select to answer phone calls automatically, which can be particularly handy on a bike, and there is a Find Headphones feature which plays a loud beeping sound when activated to make finding our headphones easier in case we misplace them. There is also a scene selection menu where we can choose between music, sport, game and business modes, but to be honest, I'm not quite sure what either of these settings can do, as I did not notice any major differences between them. If you know what these modes do, please share it in the comments. And that's all the app has to offer, which is not much, but at least we get the option to upgrade our headphones easily whenever a new firmware version drops, and that can prove to be essential in the long run. Next up is sound quality. Since we talk about an open-ear design, we should not expect audiophile sound from the LTS21, but thanks to the massive speakers inside, the sound we get from the headphones is surprisingly dynamic, lively and detailed. We get a substantially better and punchier bass than from any bone conduction headphones on the market. And the bass does not only have better extension, but there are no vibrations at all, and we get zero distortion even at full volume. Both are commonly known issues associated with bone conduction technology. Of course, the bass response is still not as powerful as with any in-ear or over-ear headphones, but it's way better than that of the Halo BC01 or the Nanka Runner Diver, just to mention two open-ear sport headsets I reviewed recently. Other than the satisfying low end, where the LTS21 really shines is the detailed and forward-sounding reproduction of the mid-range, including most instruments and vocals. Some might find it a touch too shouty or forward at higher volume levels, but I kinda like the extra energy we get here, especially at moderate listening levels and compared to bone conduction designs. The highs are not too bright, but they are sparkly enough and can convey all the musical details we might need during a long run or a bike ride, in my opinion. The good thing is that the treble never gives us any trouble, as it never gets too harsh or overly crisp. The soundstage is wide and spacious, but even though the imaging is not the most precise I've heard, it's accurate enough. Overall, the sound is great, perfect for outdoor workouts and activities. Volume can go high enough, and even at maximum volume the sound leakage is comparable to that of the Shox Open Run Pro, for example, so the directional acoustics technology that Livall has implemented here does a really good job indeed. And finally, I would really like to compare these headphones to other products, but actually there is nothing similar on the market right now. I mean, there are other open-ear sport headphones, of course, such as the Bose Sport Open, the Alova Etude, or the Mu6 Ring, and they all can deliver similar results in terms of sound quality and connection features. What neither of these headsets can offer, however, is the flexibility of a modular design. But while the detachable concept itself is great, the execution is not quite perfect. For example, there is the charging of the buds, which is only possible with no accessories mounted. And while it's, again, great to have the headband and the helmet bracket, it would only make the product even more attractive if there were more mounting options, such as a sunglass mount or an ear hook, as I already mentioned. So the modular design has many advantages with some drawbacks, and it still needs some improving to reach its full potential. But if all you need is a good sounding set of open-ear sports headphones with a long enough battery life to cover your weekly workouts, you can get the sport version for around $100 now, without the extra accessories, any of which you can buy down the line if you feel like you want to add extra mounting options or a remote control to your headphones. So the Livall LTS21 Open Ear headphones are definitely worth a shot if you ask me. And that's the end of this review. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching. See you next time.